Morning, everybody. It is Friday. Friday. Gotta get down on Friday. I hate this song. I'll do a video for my boxing fans. It's the beginning of 2018. Just wanted to give my perspective of the top 10 pound-for-pound fighters in the world. I've always been shown huge interest in who the top fighters are, going back to when I was a kid. So it's the beginning of 2018, so I want to give you my top 10 fighters. It's beginning of 2018. Now, my criteria for top 10 fighters, I judge attributes and accomplishments. In other words, what you can do in the ring skill-wise and what you have done in the ring accomplishment-wise. So my list may be different from some other folks' list. So let's start with my number one. My number one pound-for-pound fighter is Vasyl Lomachenko. Lomachenko, huge year in 2017. He's coming off a win over Rigondeaux. I feel attribute-wise, he is second to none. His ability, his combination of speed, power, boxing ability, defense, makes him almost untouchable in the division that he's in. His accomplishments, the win over Rigondeaux, the win over Walters, the way he's just basically barely even lost a round outside of the Orlando Salido fight. I just think right now with what he's done and his accomplishments in the ring, his abilities in the ring, he's the number one pound-for-pound fighter in the world now. He has one loss on his record. He's 10-1. So a lot of people may be asking, well, how can you have him number one when he's taking a loss? Taking a loss early doesn't exclude you from being number one pound for pound, especially if you bounce back and taken on the level of opposition and beat them with such ease as you have. I'll give you an example. Pernell Whitaker, back in the day, lost a fight early on to Jose Luis Ramirez. And after that fight, it was a controversial loss, just like the Lomachenko fight, which I do think Lomachenko lost, but he rallied late. He rallied a little too late. But Whitaker lost to that controversial decision to Ramirez and bounced back and cleaned out the lightweight division and cleaned out the junior welterweight division and the welterweight division. And even before he, well, I say beat Julio Cesar Chavez, even though it was a controversial draw, even before then, he was number 2 on the pound-for-pound list behind Chavez for such a long time, even with that one loss. And there were fighters under Whitaker who had, 0 losses or were undefeated. But because Whitaker had cleaned out, beaten Ramirez in a rematch, beaten Greg Haugen, beaten Rafael Pineda, beaten Buddy McGirt twice, I think that his level of opposition, how he dominated him, again, like Lomachenko, placed him so high on the pound-for-pound list. Whitaker, Lomachenko, very similar skill set, by the way. So Lomachenko's number 1 on my list. Number 2 is Terence Crawford. Put Terence Crawford number 2 behind Lomachenko and ahead of Triple G for the same reason. I put him ahead of Lomachenko, ahead of Triple G, because his level of opposition's been better. I put him behind Lomachenko because his opposition has not been better than Lomachenko's. Crawford, to me, I don't think he's as naturally talented as Lomachenko. If you watched his fight against Yoriokas Gamboa was clearly more talented than Crawford. But Crawford was, number 1, bigger and made the adjustments. He was a great adjuster. He's like Marvelous Marvin Hagler. Marvelous Marvin Hagler wasn't necessarily as talented as everybody he fought, but he was just a thinking man's fighter. He could make adjustments, and he had power and the ability to take a punch that was unlike a lot of folks that he fought. Crawford's a lot like that. When I see Crawford, I'm not necessarily blown away by his ability. I don't see a Roy Jones, Floyd Mayweather type talent. I see more of a Marvin Hagler, workman-like fighter, who is a great fighter, but he's more workman-like than just natural, off-the-charts, God-given ability like a Lomachenko. But with that being said, you can't deny the unifying of all 4 titles in the junior welterweight division. You can't deny who he's beat, how he's beaten people. He stopped maybe his last 4 or 5 opponents. He's surgical. He takes guys apart, and his level of opposition has been good. And his skill set, we'll see how it translates to the welterweight division, because he's got some beast up there, so he's going to the welterweight division. So that's my number 2. My number 3 is Triple G, Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin is not number 1 on my pound-for-pound list. And even before the ascent of Lomachenko and Crawford, he wasn't number 1 on my list before then. And the reason why is because I do not believe in, based on the history, I do not believe on putting guys number 1 pound-for-pound who have no wins over anybody in the top 10 pound-for-pound. You can't be undefeated against good contenders or subpar contenders or okay contenders, and just because you're undefeated, get number 1 pound for pound. It takes more than that. Going back to Mike Tyson, Marvin Hagler, going back all the way to those guys and coming up through the ranks, there isn't one fighter who was a number 1 pound for pound fighter in the world who did not have a win over another top 10 fighter. From Hagler to Tyson, from Tyson to Chavez, from Chavez to Whitaker, from Whitaker to Tony, from Tony to Jones, from Jones to Mayweather, and from Mayweather to Pacquiao. All those guys got to number 1 pound for pound because they beat someone who was at least on the top 10 of that list. And so I'm not going to change the criteria just because Gennady Golovkin's come along and we're excited about him and whatnot. That's not going to make him number 1 pound for pound just because you're undefeated. I think we're fooled by that undefeated thing. Who are you undefeated against? That means a lot to me. Again, like I said, not just attributes, but accomplishments. Also attribute-wise. Great puncher, more technical a boxer than people give him credit for. I've never believed he was the puncher that people made him out to be. I always believed that a great puncher isn't a great puncher until he fights somebody great. Go throughout the histories. Hagler. Go throughout Tommy Hearns, Trinidad, Julian Jackson, Gerald McClellan. Let me see how great of a puncher you are. George Foreman. Let me see how great of a puncher you are against a great fighter. And he's still a strong puncher, but against Canelo Alvarez, I'm not going to say Canelo Alvarez exposed him, but as John the Beast Mugabe learned, who was 26-0 with 26 knockouts when he fought Hagler, these greats ain't going to fall like, these contenders. They're not going to fall like that. So Gennady Golovkin, great fighter again. Not number 1 pound for pound on my list. Not even the strongest puncher I've ever seen. I think a lot of people just got excited about him because he does have that package, but he's not as strong a puncher as a Julian Jackson or a Gerald McClellan. I'm sorry. I have not seen Gennady Golovkin leave people absolutely sleep or comatose like Jackson and McClellan did. So those 2 punches at middleweight were way stronger than Golovkin, but Golovkin still all around great chin, great stamina, great movement, slow footwork a little bit, but moves well enough to get done what he's trying to get done. So he's number 3 on my list. Number 4 on my list is Canelo Alvarez. Canelo Alvarez, great pedigree, great skill set, is a lot in the Marco Antonio Barrera mode. Marco Antonio Barrera was a big puncher who came forward, straightforward a lot, who after being boxed to death, knocked out once and being boxed to death by Junior Jones, became this prolific boxer. Marco did. Never lost his ability to bang, but still take from those losses to Junior Jones, learned so much in fighting Junior Jones. Junior Jones was such a great jabber. Marco Antonio Barrera said, oh, I think I should take that and add it to my arsenal since it's beating me all upside the head. Let me take that jab and add it to my arsenal. And Barrera became one of the great jabbers of all time because he was schooled by a great jabber, Junior Jones. I put Canelo Alvarez in that same light. Lost to Floyd Mayweather, and next thing you know, he's a top-notch boxer when he wasn't before. And he's just evidence that you could learn a lot from a loss, and he did. He looked really good against Triple G, and that's another reason why I don't put Triple G ahead of Canelo. The fight was a draw, and even if you say Gennady won, yeah, it wasn't convincing enough. If you fight a top 10 pound for pound, when you finally get him in there, you got to smoke him. Like Hagler, when he finally got in the ring with Hearns, he smoked him. And so Canelo Alvarez made too strong of a showing against Triple G, landing against Triple G, outboxing him at times. Not to mention fights previous to that, his win over Amir Khan, other fights that he won, Austin Trout. He's been solid, just taking apart guys. And so he's number 4 again. That one loss to Mayweather doesn't, a loss to Mayweather definitely doesn't disqualify you from top tier pound for pound talk. So he's number 4. And number 5 on my list, and this may be a little bit different than other folks, but number 5 on my list is Mikey Garcia. Mikey Garcia is number 5 on my list because I have not seen, outside of Lomachenko, I have not seen anybody handle such great fighters with such ease. This guy is as smooth as the other side of the pillow. He is just a smoother, more polished, not as tall Alexis Arguello. He just takes people apart. And what he did to Salido and these other fighters that he fought, stopping them, and just, even after being off 2 years, which I hate, because I hate we missed 2 years of his career. I hate he missed 2 years of his career. But the wins that he has and how he just came back and didn't miss a beat and just slices guys up, to me, just makes him a top 5 pound for pounder. I'm sorry, but the way he took apart, I can't remember the guy's name right now. I really don't. I can't stand him. It's probably why I can't remember his name. But the Mayweather wannabe, the way he just took him apart with such ease, to me, is just a testament to how great he is. And well, I tell you what, you want to talk about a fight? He against Lomachenko would be a fight. He wouldn't. He's not folding. You get him in the ring with Lomachenko, he's not quitting on this dude. So Mikey Garcia is number 5 on my list. Number 6 on my list would be Keith One-Time Thurman. Keith One-Time Thurman level of opposition has been off the charts. Fighting Porter, fighting Garcia, unifying the titles. He isn't one-time anymore because, like I said, history shows us that when you step up in class, you don't score knockouts against greater fighters. I mean, he was one time because when he was coming up through the ranks fighting all these rinky-dink fighters, he was knocking them out cold. But once you start getting in there with the Sean Porters and the Danny Garcias and the other fighters that he's been in there with, you're not going to be able to just knock them out. They're going to stand there. They're going to take it. But he's been injured. But you can't deny his skill. He still has powers. Can't deny his power. Can't deny his skill, his athleticism, and his accomplishments. To go in there and beat Danny Garcia the way he did, close fight, but had the audacity to fight him, won, fought Porter, tough fighter, won, doesn't back down from people. I love that about him. He does not back down from people. Fights tough guys and beats them. And I can't wait to see a fight between him and Errol Spence. That would be a great fight if he fights Errol Spence. Keith One-Time Thurman is number 6. Number 7, speaking of Errol Spence, Errol Spence would be number 7 on my list. I hesitate to put him on my list that high because he's an undefeated young fighter, and we get excited about undefeated young Americans. And he beat Brock, who isn't a top 10 fighter. Historically speaking, in order to be a young undefeated fighter and to get on a pound for pound list as soon as you win a world title, it usually has to be against a great fighter, a fighter who himself is on the pound for pound list. James Toney is a fighter. I remember when James Toney won his first title against Michael Nunn, he went immediately to the top 10 pound for pound list. He was like number 8 or 9. But the reason why he did is because he knocked out Michael Nunn, who was like number 3 or 4. And so that got him on the list. So I hesitate to put Spence on the list, but I put him on there because of not just his strong showing against Brock, but like I said, attributes, skill level is off the chart. Guy can punch, can box, got that Olympic pedigree, amazing talent, good chin, good, solid skills and the accomplishments. Can't deny what he did against Brock, who was undefeated at welterweight. I don't really even count that fight against Triple G. Had no business up there. But looked a strong fighter, beat Porter, beat other good welterweights. And then Errol Spence came in and ambushed him. Struggled for the first few rounds, as you should against a top boxer like Brock, but ambushed him after that. Errol Spence is number 7. Number 8 on my list is Sergey Kovalev. Sergey is number 8 on my list because in spite of 2 losses to now retired Andre Ward, let's be real. Andre Ward, that first fight against Andre Ward, he won that fight. I'm sorry. Second fight, yeah, Andre got him. But again, losing to the #1 pound-for-pound fighter in the world, which Andre Ward was for many years, in my opinion, especially after winning that Super 6, doesn't take you off the pound-for-pound list. He gave Ward more problems than anybody. Ward just basically walked through everyone except Sergey Kovalev. Even in the second fight, Ward was losing that fight before he finally landed that big right hand and started going to Kovalev's body. So Sergey has been too strong. And for a while, when Sergey was undefeated, I ranked him over Triple G because, in my mind, he was beating better opposition. He was beating much better opposition than Triple G. People were just excited about Triple G because he's more photogenic, and you know how people are. But Kovalev was the one. He had wins over top 10 pound-for-pound fighters and top-notch fighters. And he was higher to me than Triple G was. But the losses knocked him down a bit, but not off the list. He's still on the list. Again, level of opposition high. Skill level extremely high. Just recently won a vacant title vacated by Ward. Showed he still got it. He's still the man. Just waiting for that coward, the other guy who has the world title at 175 pounds, to finally step up and fight Kovalev, which he probably won't. Number 9 on my list is a heavyweight. And surprise, it's Anthony Joshua. Now, some people may ask me, why do I put Anthony Joshua over Deontay Wilder? I'll tell you why. Again, this is attributes and accomplishments. Skill level wise, he's more talented. He's got the pedigree. He's got the gold medal. That means something. It's always meant something. You don't think it means something? Ask Muhammad Ali, Pernell Whitaker, Meldrick Taylor, ask Oscar De La Hoya, Andre Ward, Roy Jones, who won it and had it stolen from him, Sugar Ray Leonard. It means something. It shows your pedigree. It shows your talent level, skill level. And even in the ring as a heavyweight pro, he's just more put together than Wilder. Yeah, Wilder scores these big knockouts, but let's remember, Joshua's 20-0 with 20 knockouts too. He doesn't go the distance. And I put a lot of stock in his win over Klitschko. I put a lot of stock in that win because that was the most motivated, in shape version of Klitschko we'd seen in years. And he had to weather a storm. He got hit with a Klitschko right hand that knocked some people historically out cold. And people said that he was chinny. He was chinny because he got knocked down by Klitschko. Dude, who that gets hit with that Klitschko right hand ain't going to sleep? And this dude got up. I hate when people get hit by big punches and say, oh, his chin is suspect. Really? Got hit by Klitschko. That's crazy. Got hit by Vladimir Klitschko. And got up and stopped him in a war. One of the greatest heavyweight fights we've seen since Bo Holyfield won. And so I give a lot of stock to that. That win was huge. His other wins have been huge. Winning the title, being as polished as he is, the way he keeps his hands up, the way he works behind the jab, his quickness, his countering ability. He's destined for superstardom. So he's number 9 on my list. Number 10 on my list is Deontay Wilder. I put Wilder number 10 because even in spite of being not as talented as Joshua, he does have this Julian Jackson type quality where he hits guys and he just puts them to sleep. I put him behind Joshua for obvious reasons. If you're a boxing fan, number one, he's sloppy. Let's just call it out. A lot of what he does is because of his natural athleticism, because he's so much bigger than a lot of guys, taller than a lot of guys, but he is extremely, extremely sloppy. When he gets guys in trouble, how he swings all wild, in the pocket polished fighter would rip him apart that way. But he is a heavyweight champion who's 39-0 with 38 knockouts. And in spite of the fact that he hasn't fought any top 10 pound-for-pounders, he has done what he's supposed to do against the fighters he's fought. His last fight, where he knocked a guy out in the first round who he beat for the title, that last time went the distance. The only distance fight on his record was the fight, I can't remember his name right now, but that he beat last time, knocked him out in the first round. But the first time they fought, he went the distance, his only distance fight on his record. But he has done what he's supposed to do against who he's supposed to do it against. And so I'm holding anticipation in 2018 for a Wilder Joshua fight. You know, I already have to wait to 2019 for Game of Thrones. Hope I don't have to wait 2019 for that. Hope I can get them we can get them in the ring and they get it on, and see who's the top heavyweight fight in the world. But that's my top 10. Tell me if you agree or disagree. You think I have some people out of place? You think I forgot some people? I know a lot of people say Bisa, who beat Chocolatito, should be on the list. I know a lot of people may feel that there are other guys that, you know, should be on the list. Other fighters that should be on the list. If you feel there are other fighters who should be on the list, let me know if you got your top 10. Put it in the comment section. Let me know who your top 10 for 2018 is. Peace.